pictures that I'm about to show you, what is that? Or what do they represent? What can you tell about the pictures that I'm showing? And then we have David Navarrete. Go ahead.
It's a collection.
Yes, it's a collection. And what's the name, or how can we call the people that collect things? Alan?
Collectors.
Collectors, right? All right, so then we could say that a collector is someone that actually gathers a lot of things, maybe for a hobby, right? Maybe some people just like to tend to collect things only for a hobby. I'm sorry. And there you go. My computer didn't want to work. So next question to you guys is, why or do you collect anything? And if so, why do you collect it? So think about things that you have. And if you collect anything in particular, and maybe even say why. So anyone that would like to share something? Alan, go for it.
Well, I like Harry Potter. I don't know if someone of here like, but I'm a fan, and I collect the ones that they use in the movies. I mean, the replicas, obviously. uh, but yes, I collect that, and I collect it because I like it. I don't know. It's mm, not funny. It's I like.
Yes, and even, well, for example, I grew up watching those movies. And yeah, definitely it is something that marks us, right? Excellent. And Jonathan, go ahead.
Well, I collect a lot of stuff. For example, I am a very fan of Nintendo, and I collect the amiibos, the video games, the plushes, toys, etc., etc. And then I collect movies, Blu-ray movies, DVDs, VHS. Uh, and yes, I have a lot of collection, but and drawings. I draw a very lot of characters. Yes, that's it. And books.
Awesome. Excellent. So drawings, that's very interesting. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And then Aaron, go for it.
I collect signs, technology, stop reading them, and how the newest inventions makes humanity progress. And also, I sometimes I try to collect some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. One of my favorite is I have the first edition of the Blue Eyes White Dragon from 2003.
Oh my God, I remember those Yu-Gi-Oh that they used to sell like the package, and then sometimes you will get a repetitive one, sometimes you will just get different ones. So excellent. Thank you so much. And David Montañez.
Hello, Miss. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, I collect Hot Wheel cars. I have 55 cars, more classic because are the beautiful. And I collect coins and bank. How do you say billetes? Bank
Bills,
in English?
bill, like a bill, Bill.
Yes.
I read it for you on the chat. So yeah, a
Oh,
billete, it's a bill. I couldn't hear you anymore, but excellent that it's if that was it. So the bills, right? Even the coins. Sometimes people are collector of coins also. And I remember that they even put it like in an album or things like that. And then Omar says Funko Pops. Okay, because some of the figures are rare. That's true. That's true, Omar. Thank you. All right, and yes, Octavio, no problem. Thank you. Um, Now, why are some reasons people collect these things? What could be some reasons, generally speaking? Okay, can Aaron?
because like to collect them, or maybe because they can bring childhood memories.
They can bring childhood memories, right? Yes, that's so true. Excellent. All right. So, therefore, what do you think we will be talking about today? What might be one of the topics for today's class? What would be the topic for today? Aaron?
Uh, talking or speaking with with our classmate about what kind of, how to say, collectibles they would like to take or be in their hands.
Okay, that sounds very good for me. Excellent. Thank you so much, Aaron. So today we're gonna be looking at it's useless, right? So it's basically about collections. We're gonna listen to a podcast. It's gonna be very brief, like a minute or so. Also, maybe at the end, towards the end of the class, we're gonna get to do an ad about something we are gonna be looking for. But I will tell you a little bit more about it on the topic. So first of all, I'm gonna just skip the first part. Here we're gonna listen to a podcast. We know that they talk about these very specific topics, and it's going to be about Hannah Sunday, and the interviewed person will be Felix Moss. It's a collector. So we're going to be focusing on these two questions. What item does Felix talk about, and where is it now? So let's pay close attention to the audio. They're going to mention the item and also where the item is now. So please listen to it carefully and we will proceed with the questions.
Lesson 2.4, page 18. Exercises 1B and 1C.
Why do some people collect things? Have you ever wondered? I have, but I've never found the answer. So this week, I've invited someone who can maybe, just maybe, help me understand why people collect stuff. He's Felix Moss, and he's a collector. Felix, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Hannah.
Now, you're a big fan of auto racing, and you collect things from race cars. Give me some examples of the kinds of things you collect.
Well, I have an old tire. Um,
An old tire? Felix, most people want to get rid of old tires. Why do you want to own something like that? It's useless, right?
well, I can't put it on my car, so it is useless as a tire, but that's not why I bought it. I've loved racing since I was 6 years old, so I collect stuff, like tires, to bring the sport into my life and into my living room.
That's interesting. Wait a minute. Are you saying you have this tire in your living room?
Yeah, and it is useful in a way. I made a table from it.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So, what else is in your living room?
So I give a hint, I think. Well, sorry about that, guys. So they're talking about an old tire and that they're saying that it is in the living room. What else can you say from the collector? Let's go ahead and see the questions on the next part. It says, why has Hannah invited a collector to be on her podcast? So at the beginning of the podcast, they mention something about the reason. So David Navarrete, go for it.
It's because Hannah wants to know why do people collect things.
Yes, excellent. So she's very interested and curious about why do people collect things? Why do they do that? Right? Yes. And then next question. Why does Felix collect things from race cars? Why does he do that as well? Ismael?
Because he loves races since his childhood.
So yeah, it brings like these memories when he was a child, and also he's bringing up like those kind of sport into his life. Excellent. And just the very last question, think about it of what you heard. And does Felix agree with Hannah that his item is useless? Yes, no, and what reasons do they give? So what would it be? Does Felix agree with Hannah that his item is useless? Yes, no, and why? So let me play it just one more time so you can take a look on that detail. And if it gives the reasons, please just keep them in mind and then share it with us, okay?
Lesson 2.4, page 18. Exercises 1B and 1C.
Why do some people collect things? Have you ever wondered? I have, but I've never found the answer. So this week, I've invited someone who can maybe, just maybe, help me understand why people collect stuff. He's Felix Moss, and he's a collector. Felix, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Hannah.
Now, you're a big fan of auto racing, and you collect things from race cars. Give me some examples of the kinds of things you collect.
Well, I have an old tire.
An old tire? Felix, most people want to get rid of old tires. Why do you want to own something like that? It's useless, right?
Well, I can't put it on my car, so it is useless as a tire, but that's not why I bought it. I've loved racing since I was 6 years old, so I collect stuff, like tires, to bring the sport into my life and into my living room.
That's interesting. Wait a minute. Are you saying you have this tire in your living room?
Yeah, and it is useful in a way. I made a table from it.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So, what else is in your living room?
Okay, so what do you think? Does Felix agree with it or that the item is useless or not? Here we have Omar saying no because he created a table out of it. Okay, so maybe no. Any other opinion? Ismael?
He accept the old tire. It's useless if he put it on a car, but he say it is useful in other things.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ismael, and thank you, Omar. So maybe he agrees at some point that it is true. However, he actually found something to be useful. So we would say maybe he doesn't agree completely because he actually found something useful to make it from it, right? Okay, let's continue. Now we're gonna just take a look on this pronunciation activity. And I wanted to emphasize this, compare it from last class. Remember that we were looking at the t sound and that I was explaining to you guys that not all the times it will be something like you have to pronounce it that way and compare it to a letter, right? We said that these are, whenever we see this like two lines and then a symbol in the middle, they are symbols, right? They're not letters but symbols. Now here we're going to be looking at the w sound, which is a bilabial semivowel. This is like the fancy name of it, but in reality it's just the w sound, okay? We're going to be looking on how this sound is produced between words. So even though it looks like a letter W, and even though that a W might sound this way, it is not always the case, okay? So here we're going to listen to this kind of extracts or piece of information from the podcast that we heard. And let's take a look on the way they pronounce this part. So whenever we have two words, we will notice that there is this sound in between. So please pay close attention to the way they pronounce it. That way we can start distinguishing. As you notice, there is no W here. So that's why I insist that words or letters, I'm sorry, are not the same as the symbols. Why? Because these are just like a symbol, the sound of a particular phoneme, and these are letters, okay? So let's go ahead and I'm going to play it for you, and please on the underline part try to emphasize more attention to there so you can be able to distinguish when this sound is produced. So here we go.
Lesson 2.4, page 18. Exercise 2A. 1,
Why do some people collect things? Have you ever wondered?
2,
Felix, most people want to get rid of old tires. Why do you want to own something like that?
All right. So did we notice like the way they pronounce it? They say something like "Have you ever?" Obviously they don't emphasize it like pretty noticeable, but it is like have you ever or to own, and there you can kind of see that this w sound, it's in between these two words. That can happen also like in y, obviously. It can also happen like where's another word that I saw here? Um why I think it was want also. Obviously it produces this sound, but we're just taking a look how in between words there can be also the production of that sound. Now what I will do is I will play you this next exercise two times, and then you will decide and underline the two words that you hear this woo sound in between. All right, so let's go ahead and listen to it.
Lesson 2.4, page 18. Exercise 2B. Do you and your brother like to collect things?
He does, but I do everything I can to avoid collecting useless stuff.
So do you ever keep things just to keep them?
I guess I might keep a few if they're things I really like.
All right, I will play it just one more time and then we will discuss the answers, okay? Here we go.
Lesson 2.4, page 18. Exercise 2B.
Do you and your brother like to collect things?
He does, but I do everything I can to avoid collecting useless stuff.
So do you ever keep things just to keep them?
I guess I might keep a few if they're things I really like.
Okay, so let's go ahead and decide which are the two words in each one and if there is any for each sentence, okay? So on the first one, where did you find the w sound in between two letters? Two words, I'm sorry. Ismael.
I think the woo sound is in the U end.
You and yes. Great job. Thank you so much. On the next one, is there any w sound in between? Jonathan?
At the second, I found do everything.
Do everything, right? Yes, I think so too. Great. And then what about the next one? Okay, so we have Omar saying you ever. Yes. Excellent. So do you ever? Obviously we don't say like do you ever, right? But whenever you connect those two words at the time of speaking, you can notice that there is like this semi-vowel sound. Right. What about the last one? Is there any? Or which are the two words? So what about the last one? I guess I might keep a few if they're things I really like. I really? Well, on the last one, actually, there is no examples, no two words. I really, it's there is an interference with the sound. I really, it's not like I really, I will really, or something like that. It is there is an interference with the sound. So we will say just that there is no two word sound in this last one. Now, let's just go ahead and circle the correct word to complete the statement, or in this case, the rule, right? The rule for this sound. So it says, a w sound is often used to connect two words. We know that, right? When the first word, does it starts or ends with the u sound? So take a look on the first word of each one um, of the examples that we have above. So does it start with the u sound or does it end with the u sound? When you say you, to, you, do, does it start or end with the u sound? And sorry about that, guys. Ismael?
When the first word ends in a U sound.
Excellent. Yes. And then the second word starts with a consonant or vowel. What can you notice on the second word when we have this combination? A consonant or a vowel? A vowel, yes. So every time that we have an ending of a u sound and the starting of the next word with a vowel sound, then we will know that we have a w sound or a bilabial semi-vowel. Okay? Any questions on this? Anything to add or anything that you would like to know a little bit more? No questions? All clear? Okay, well, if no questions, let's go ahead and continue. Now, we're going to take a look on this ad. And for those of you that have your book, you will find it on page 19. So this is an online ad, and here Emilia is writing this ad. So what items does Emilia want? Why does she want them? And what kind of personality do you think she has? So we're going to read it, and then we're going to respond to these first questions, okay? So first, we have to look on what items is she looking for? Why does she want them, and the type of personality that you think Emilia has. So I would need 4 people to help me out reading here. Jonathan, you will read the first paragraph all the way up to for sale yet. Alan, you will read the second paragraph. And then Aaron, you will read the third paragraph. And Wendy, you will read the last paragraph, okay? So go ahead, Jonathan.
Wanted, traffic light, 2 stop signs. I'm interested in buying a Canadian traffic light. See picture for an example. Do you have one like this? Or do you know where I can get one? Yes, I know they're on every street corner, but please don't steal one. But seriously, I want one that's legal and that works. I've checked online every day for weeks, but I haven't seen any for sale yet.
I'm also looking for 2 red stop signs. See picture. They can be old, but they have to be in good condition. I had seen some for sale online, but they were fake, not real ones. I want the real thing.
You're probably wondering why I want these things. They are for a party, and after that I'll give them to my niece. She loves stuff like this.
I paid a reasonable price for items in good condition. Send an email with photos and hopeful I can give you a green light for a sale. Contact 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 Emilia at show contact info.
Okay, excellent. So let's go ahead and review the questions. What items does Emilia want? First, that's our first question right there. What are the items that she's looking for? Okay, so Ismael?
He's looking for a Canadian traffic light and 2 stop signs.
Okay. And then we have here oh, okay, yes. So 2 red stop signs and the Canadian traffic light. Excellent. Thank you so much. And then why does she want them? Why does she want these items? Okay, so Omar for a party. Yes, they want them for a party. Now, what kind of personality do you think she has? And this is optional, okay? This is something of your own thoughts. So, what kind of personality do you think Emilia has? Is she anxious about it? Is she what type of personality? Remember that we talked about personalities, and then tell us what. And this is no right or wrong answer, okay? She's relaxed and easygoing. Yes. Cheerful. Yeah, she's cheerful. Excellent. What else? What else? What other thing could describe her personality? What else could it be? Any other kind of or way to describe? Remember of the adjectives, remember ways to describe personality. What else can we say about her personality? We said cheerful, we said relax, we said easygoing. What else? What else can describe her? Hopeful, okay. Yeah, because I mean, she's hoping that she's able to get her own. And let's try to participate on the mic, okay? Let's try to participate more on the mic. What else? What other adjectives or what other things can describe her? We could say, well, myself, I can think of excited. Maybe she's very excited of getting all these things. So maybe exciting. Sociable, okay. Yeah, sociable too. Ismael.
I think she's reliable because she don't want steal things. Um, she wanna legal things.
Okay, so reliable in a way. Yes. That's a great word. Okay. Yes, everything that you said it's great. Also they say maybe she's very fun, creative, playful, and I can think of creative because imagine Why is she looking for these stop signs and traffic lights, and specifically a Canadian one? So we will never know, but yeah. Let's continue then. Now, there is this part about writing, and I don't know if you noticed, but whenever Emilia was talking about the Canadian traffic light or the stop lights or the stop signs, I'm sorry, she was using one and ones. So whenever we make a use of one or ones, it's because we want to avoid repeating the subject over and over. Imagine if she would talk about this Canadian traffic light throughout the whole paper that we're reading. Imagine herself repeating over and over Canadian traffic light, Canadian traffic light, Canadian traffic light. Well, in this case, in order to avoid that repetitive words for subjects, we are going to use one and ones, okay? So when we use one and ones, it's to be clear that we are referring back to the subject that we mentioned earlier, right? So here it starts, her ad starts by saying, I'm interested in buying a Canadian traffic light. Okay, that's okay, because she is introducing that subject, right? But instead of asking, do you have a Canadian traffic light? Instead of saying that, we can just add the word one. So, do you have one like this? And then we can see that one refers back to a Canadian traffic light. Okay? So, whenever we want to avoid repeating the same subject over and over, we could use one for singular or ones for plural. Questions on this? Questions? If not, let's go ahead and identify one of these, okay? So here, as I mentioned before, it says, I'm interested in buying Canadian traffic lights. Do you have one like this? So one, it's referring to a Canadian traffic light. Where else can we find another using either one or ones, and what is it referring back to? So what will be the next one that we have on this text that shows that they are trying to avoid the subject? So David Navarrete, go for it.
In the sentence, but I haven't seen any for sale yet. It's haven't seen any because it's looking around for someone.
I cannot find that.
At the end of the first paragraph.
Okay, any can be also, but now we're focusing on one or ones. So where else can you find another that it's using one or ones to avoid the subject? Okay, if not, Ismael?
Can you repeat the question, miss, please?
Yeah, so where else can we find a way that they are trying to avoid saying, I don't know, Canadian, in this case, Canadian traffic lights? I mentioned, do you have a one like this? So one here, it's referring back to a Canadian traffic light. Can you find anything else that says one and what it's referring back to? Wendy?
And I can get one? Or do you know where I can get one?
Or do you know where I can get one? So yeah, for example, in this first part, we can see that they are mentioning 111, but they are referring back again to Canadian traffic light, right? In this case, they didn't have to say like, or do you know where I can get a Canadian traffic light? Yes, I know where every street, blah, blah, blah. And then please don't steal a Canadian traffic light. So instead of having to write the whole thing, they just write one. Where else can you find? There's one more there in the text that they are referring back to the subject. What would be the last example that they have here in this reading? So what's another example that they have for one or once, or a way to avoid saying the subject over and over? Take a look on the second paragraph. Where can you find something in relation to this? So we have Ismael.
Maybe we can avoid to say the subject uh, for the word that.
Okay. For the word that. Oh, so we can use also that and this to avoid saying the subject. That's so right. Also any, like someone else said. And yes, what I was referring actually was to this one, that they again said once, but they are referring to the two red stop signs. So they already introduced the subject here. However, instead of repeating it again, they used the word once. I don't know if you have questions about this, guys. Is that clear? Is it confusing for you? Tell me, talk to me about it. Were you able to see what was my point on getting review of this ad? So all I wanted to mention is that whenever we are using a subject a lot of times in the same paragraph, instead of repeating that subject over and over, we can just simply substitute it by the word one. And we will know that it's referring back to the initial or the first subject that we mentioned in the paragraph at the beginning. Okay? Questions, or if everything's clear, please raise your hand. Okay. 7 people, 8 people, 9. All right, 10. Excellent. 11. Okay, you can lower your hands now. All right, guys. And well, I don't know if you noticed that I was checking your assignments, everything that we've been doing on Teams, on the assignments that I asked you to do. So I noticed that there was a lot of misspelled words. Some sentences were too long. You didn't even use like a comma or a period or things like that. So I find that it's necessary to review a little bit on that. So we're going to be talking about punctuation. What do I refer to punctuation? So punctuation, it's all of these. Periods, commas, hyphens, exclamation point, apostrophes, parentheses, question marks, everything that has to do with punctuation. So periods, we use periods at the end of sentences and in abbreviations. Question marks, whenever we make a question, we have to close it with a question mark. Very, very important. Quotation marks, they are used whenever we are directly stating what other person said. And if we are copying, kind of copying, pasting, but we are putting quotation marks, letting the reader know that it's not your words, but it's someone else's. Apostrophe, don't forget apostrophe. It is used for contractions and to indicate possession. Remember when I talked to you about like this is Steve's shirt, right? So Steve's, we have to add an apostrophe S to the name Steve because we are talking about possession, okay? Also, commas. Commas, they are used to separate items in series. So we have to use that before conjunctions. Conjunctions like and, but, so, etc. So we have to be really careful that to not use a lot of commas on one simple sentence. Let's make sure to, if you're not listing a lot of things, it's not necessary to use a comma, but rather start a new sentence. But if you are listing things, then you can actually use commas. Exclamation points whenever we want to highlight something or to give like an emotion to something that you're saying. Parenthesis is like this extra information, but not essential, not necessarily needed, but you just want to give out that information. That is the type of information that if we omit it, it would not change whatever idea you have. This is parenthesis. Think about it as additional information. So any questions on punctuation? Or any comments, any complaints? No, anything? Well, now let's continue with capital letters. I want for you to tell me, when do we use capital letters? When we should use capital letters, guys? What are the reasons or the things that we have to capitalize? Ismael.
Nouns or personal names.
Nouns or personal names. Yes. Octavio.
For the weekdays?
The weekdays,
Okay.
right? Whenever we're talking about months and weekdays, Monday, Tuesday, etc. Excellent. What else, Alan?
Well, specifically, I think that proper nouns.
Proper nouns, right? Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Alan. What else? When are other settings in which we have to capitalize letters? Jasmine.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
At the beginning of sentences?
At the beginning of sentences. Yes, very, very important. Yes. Thank you, Aaron.
Could be in a name.
In a name, yes. What else? What else should be capitalized? So, well, you gave the Yvette. Go ahead.
Before we have a period.
For what, I'm sorry?
After we have a period.
Excellent. Yes. Especially that after a period. Don't forget that even though if you use a period, that means that another sentence is about to begin. So we need to add, put a capital letter at the beginning of sentences after a period. That it's valid as well. Ivan, go for it.
Is the first letter when starting a paragraph?
Yes, so beginning of a sentence. Yes. All right. So capital letters, and thank you, you guys. Capital letters should be at the beginning or starting a sentence. That means even if a period comes up, everything after the period should be capitalized as well. Names and titles. Names: Sarah, William, Alan, Brenda, Claudia. Every single name has to be capitalized. But not only that, also titles. Titles like doctor, titles like Mr., Mrs., in our cases, licenciado, licenciada. Whatever the case is, whatever the title is, it has to be capitalized. Days of the weeks and months. We mentioned, I think it was Octavio who mentioned the weekdays, right? The weekends, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, July, August, the months, January, February, March, all those. We have to capitalize. Also, remember, cities and countries: Sydney, Australia; Juarez, Mexico; United States; Colorado; California. Everything has to be capitalized if it is a state, a city, or a country. Moreover, things that have to be capitalized is nationalities and languages: Mexican, Puerto Rican, Spanish, English, French. Everything that it's a language or everything that's a nationality, it has to be capitalized. Companies and organizations: RSPCA, Centro Médico de Especialidades has to be capitalized. Everything that it's an organization or a company, UACJ, that has to be also capitalized. And then headings and book or film titles. So Alice in Wonderland, I don't know, The Alchemist, The Pianist, any title. Now, with the titles, the only exception is for the prepositions in the, on, etc. Those things are not capitalized, but otherwise everything else it is. Also, things that have to be capitalized are addresses, boulevards, lanes, roads. All that has to be capitalized along with the name. Okay? And very important, and one of the things I noticed the most was the pronoun I. So for example, I was watching and I fell. So whenever you are using letter I as a pronoun, it shouldn't be like this. Instead, we should capitalize it and write it like this all the time. Even if it's not at the beginning of sentences, we have to, only the pronoun I has to be capitalized at all times. Questions on this, guys? Anything, comments, things that you would like to mention? Apostrophes. Don't forget that it's for contractions and possession, okay? Why am I reviewing all this? Because I want for you to do an activity for me, okay? I took a very small fragment, this piece of writing from the book, The Girl on the Train. So what I want for you to do is to go ahead and capitalize whatever needs to be capitalized, at periods, commas, apostrophes. Also, there are words that are misspelled, so you have to write them correctly, okay? Make sure that you focused on these things that we mentioned, and also spelling. It's very, very important. Try to not miss any letter, because I've noticed that for example, on the emails that you wrote on the activity from last week, I noticed that a lot of you were not paying attention to those details. So I think it's very, very important to make a small review on this. So you're going to go ahead and rewrite this, but with the correct punctuation and capital letters, and if needed, spelling of the words, and then you're going to share it on the chat once you are done with it, okay? I will give you maybe 7 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes, and then we will start. Once you're done, just go ahead and upload it on the chat, okay? You can do it on your notebook, or you can do it directly on the chat, or even on a Word document, whatever works for you, okay? So let's have, let's have 10 minutes for this. If I see that we are completing it, we will move on, okay? So 10 minutes, go ahead and complete the correct spelling and everything. And in a little bit, we will be sharing the correct, or the appropriate way, we would say, of writing this, okay? If you have questions, I will be here.
Teacher, I don't understand the activity. Can you repeat it again, please?
Yes, so the activity, it's basically you're gonna correct this text. You're gonna use periods, commas when they have to be used, capitalized letters, everything that I just mentioned about this. You have to include it and correct it on the actual on this, okay, on the text. All you have to do is capitalize and put commas where it's needed, apostrophes, spell the words correctly, all that. Okay?
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, guys. Well, let's work on it. All right, so I see that you guys are already sharing your information. Okay, I will take it as participation. Okay, hold on your writings, okay? Because I'm about to show you the actual not the actual way because there's always different ways, but the actual fragment from this book and then you can compare it with yours, okay? And then I will explain just a little bit on that. By the way, guys, I just wanted to mention that sometimes whenever I create assignments on Teams, it's because I do take into account your participation with that. So whenever I open an assignment on Team and you don't complete it during the class or um, on the day, what I'm doing is I'm giving you a 6 on the participation for the day. This for me means like you are not following along with the class. So make sure that whenever I open an assignment, make sure to deliver your work because if you don't, maybe one day nothing happens, but what if you start getting like very a lot of days in a row and then at the end maybe that 5% could help you to pass the course, and if you don't do it on time or if you don't get those points, I will not be able to give them to you because it is our own responsibility to follow along with the activity. So just a heads up, I know that you guys work really good. I actually have no complaints about you guys. It's just giving you this refresh of what I'm doing for participations. Okay. And well, I see that a lot of people are sharing it now. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the actual piece of text from the book and just take a look at what you wrote and then we will see and compare if you, not that you are wrong, but maybe things that we can work on in regards punctuation and all that. Okay. So thank you guys. You're amazing. Let's go ahead and see. Okay, it's not changing. Give a few seconds to my computer. I think my computer thinks that it's still Monday. Or it got stuck. Okay, here we go. So this is the original piece of text from the book. As you can see, I was mentioning about apostrophes for contractions. Right here, we have a contraction of I had, right? So instead of I had, I'd been in the library. Now here, they're mentioning us like an address, like a road address. That's why I mentioned that we have to capitalize it. We have to capitalize it, these addresses as well. And then we have a period. Then again, we have an apostrophe that mentions that this is a contraction. Here in parentheses, we start with an I. Remember, pronoun I, it always have to be capitalized. Parentheses, it's only for information, extra information, information that if we remove it, nothing will happen to it. And you could just simply say, I just emailed my mother via my Yahoo account. So that would be a complete sentence. And this in parentheses, it's just additional information. However, it still needs to be like with the commas. Here we have a contraction, she is. So she's feeling, that's another contraction. Yahoo, it's like the company. You could either she is or she's. Here it doesn't need to be like the apostrophe, but it is optional. Now, Yahoo, remember, it's like a company, so it has to be capitalized. Here we're using a period, then we're starting a new sentence. Yahoo's front page that there are new stories tailored to the to your postcode or whatever. And I kept this line, this hyphen, because I didn't want for you to get kind of I don't know, confused. So that's why I kept it on the other example. They had, I noticed that there are some people that here put a period and then started a new one. It is okay, but they do. And then maybe comma and should be the right way, or even just comma. Remember that conjunctions like but and can have a comma before. Okay. And then Jess, it's capitalized because it's a person. Here they just decided to use commas, commas, and commas. And then a headline that read, concern for missing Whitney woman. Maybe I noticed that one of you put like quotation marks. Maybe it could because it's a title. So yeah, that's totally fine. But here they just kept it like that. Any questions about this exercise, guys? Anything that you would like to mention? Do you find it helpful? I really, really want to hear from you guys.
It was a little difficult because I'm more, how can I say? I'm trying to read and make an expression with the feelings. So, for example, the part, how they know my postcode, I do like a question, but it's a normal sentence. So it was like, oh, damn it.
Okay, well, yeah, actually, I mean, this is the way the reader did it. Maybe because we're only taking a small piece of information. Maybe the way you said it, it will be good. God only knows, and then maybe a comma, how they know my postcode, and then question mark, and then start a new sentence. That could be also a way, depending on what things you want to emphasize. But yes, it is a little bit challenging, right? Because perceptions from everyone, it's different. But at least we have to kind of know that if we use one type of punctuation, we have to use some other type of punctuation in order for all this to make sense. So great. Thank you for sharing that. What else? Any other comments about the activity or anything? Put your hands up if you found it useful or Yeah. If it was useful for you, raise your hand. All right, 11 people. Excellent. So I'm glad. And maybe I will try to do whenever we have a writing exercise. Maybe I'll try to give you like this small part of practice so you can be kind of getting better on punctuation and capital letters and everything, okay? So I think this will help a lot with that because I really noticed on the emails that there was a lot of misunderstanding of this information. But now we are kind of getting more clear on that. So what we're going to do is we are going to write an ad just like the Amelia's ad that she did about the traffic lights and the stop signs. So I want for you to think of something that it's hard to find or anything in particular that you would like for someone to tell you. Where can you find it? You're going to write a short title just like Emilia did. You're going to describe the item, the condition, the age, the size, the color, features about it, things that will give a clue for the people in order to give you recommendations. Also, you're going to include the reason why. So, for example, in Emilia's post, she said that she wanted them for a party. So you have to also include the reason why you're looking at a specific item. Or even think about collections of your collections. If you have a collection and you're looking for this particular thing that you can just not find at all and you wish you could have it, well, it is your time to write about it. So let's try to include pictures. You can do it on your notebook. You can just simply draw something, or you can do it on the Word document, and I will create an assignment tab here on Teams so you can upload your work, okay? So let's try to make something similar like Emilia did. And then a minimum of 2 paragraphs, at least 2 paragraphs, but very detailed. Don't just put something like just a sentence or two and that's it. Let's try to be more detailed, give more examples, give more information about the item, give even more information of why you want it, and then let's just upload it on the space that I will create for you to upload the assignment, okay? Aaron, you have a question?
Yes. It could be an item that will how or an item we are looking for.
I'm so sorry. It cut off a little bit. I wasn't able to hear everything. So your question is if it has to be about an item that
We want to sell, or we an item that we want to buy. We are a person who's looking for a specific item. You put that the ad.
excellent question. So no, it's not an item that you want to sell. It's an item that you want to get. So actually you are the one that wants to buy that item. Okay. So you're looking for this item, but yeah, you're not selling. You actually are the one that it's going to buy.
Okay. No, I got it. Thank you very much, teacher.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any other questions? If no more questions, let's go ahead and start working on it.
Miss,
So,
how much time we have?
oh, that time. Yeah, that's a great question. So it's 2:34 at 2:50. 15 minutes or 16 in this case. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So at 2:50, we're going to stop. Still, I'm going to leave the assignment open for this day. You have to turn it in before 11:59 p.m. So You can work on it on this time, or if you find it more comfortable for you to work it later, it's okay. Don't forget that still, I do count it whether you turn it in or not. Um, the time is there, guys. I'm not going to be accepting anything later than the time, because I think it's reasonable to give you the rest of the day to work on it. So go ahead and work on it. If you have questions, please open your mic. All right, so it's already 2:50. I don't want to take more time of you guys. I know that some people have to take the bus and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and wrap up. I open for you the assignment. Don't forget to upload it once you are done. And then I think with that, we will conclude today's class, okay? So you have your assignment there. And before we go, let's say, what did we learn today? What did we discuss about, or what were things that we reviewed for today's class? Ismael, go ahead.
I remember about punctuation and I learned about the woo sound.
Okay, punctuation, rules, excellent. Aaron, go for it.
The grammar about how to use parentheses, commas, and capital letters.
How to use parentheses, commas, excellent. Yes, thank you. What else? What else did we learn today? The w sound, yes. We use one and ones, excellent. To avoid repeating the same word or the same subject over and over, right? Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay. Anything else? Is that it? All right. If nothing else, I think that'll be all for today's class. So thank you so much for being here today, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to upload your work, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Thank you, Miss. You too.
Thank you, teacher. See you tomorrow.
See you, teacher.
See you tomorrow,
Thank you,
Miss.
Miss. Have a great day.
Have a great day, guys. See you. Thank you. Have a nice day, too. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.